Then come up to Marty.
Dale Bryant, Nelson Motor Racing Network. I just talked with Matt Kenseth about progressive banking, and over the last few years, the conversation about repaving and reconfiguring tracks has included that, a lot of value placed on progressive banking. Now they're changing it at Bristol because in the minds of the track owners it didn't work out so well. They plan to do the progressive banking here. Matt said that it really depends on the track. Sometimes it really helps, sometimes it doesn't. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that, unfortunately, progressive banking is a great idea when you're using asphalt. When you're using concrete, concrete has a lot of limitations for our cars. We only have a few tracks, but that are concrete or have been concrete in the series or in the sport, and none of them truly became multi-groove racetracks. And Dover is the closest thing that we had to a multi-groove track, but to be honest with you, the majority of the racing is done on the bottom of that racetrack as well. In a perfect world, in my opinion, if I owned the racetrack and had all the money that Bruton has, I'd with the technology we have today, I'd pave the track with the configuration that they currently have with the progressive banking with asphalt. But it's not my decision, and I think what they're doing is going to be fun, and I like that they're making a change, even though when you pave a racetrack, it typically doesn't put on the best races. After a few years of weather and wear on the surface, it tends out to work out okay, and the track really comes into its own again. As much as we'd like to have a lot of the tracks stay with the older asphalt, it's just some of them are deteriorating so bad it's just not an option. But I think progressive banking has done wonders at a lot of racetracks. Been a real plus at a lot of places. It's just a combination of progressive banking and the limitations of that concrete is what's challenging to Bristol.
We'll take our next question from Marty, then go to Bob, Claire, and David.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Dale, historically, given how close the competition has been over the last decade or so, how would you rank the accomplishment of winning 200 races as a team owner? What does it take to achieve that type of longevity?
You're going to be around a long time, I guess.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Analysis.
I think it means that, number one, you win, you can be in the sport a long time and win a good handful of races. But if you can win such a majority, I think it says a lot about your ability to put people in the right place, how you can manage people, your ability to handpick people and see qualities in people and where they need to be to help the company. So I would contribute. I'm sure there's other things that play a big role in that over the years, but I guess it comes down to Rick's eye for talent, his ability to see quality and strengths in people and putting them in the places where they can succeed and help his company succeed. That's how you win large chunks of races like that.
All right, we'll go with Bob with our next question, then to Claire.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. I was curious that when you went to the White House, I don't know if you'd ever been there before, but was there something you wanted to see that you got to see, or anything you wanted to see that you didn't get to see?
I'd been there before, and it was pretty much the same tour, but every time you go through it, I think you find something interesting that you missed the time before. I didn't really appreciate how old some of the artwork and stuff is in that until I did some work on my family tree this past 6 months, and I start to understand what 200 years really means, or what 150 years truly means in the grand scope of things. So there was a picture in there of George Washington that they had carried out of the place when they set it on fire back in the Revolution, and I'd known that, and they told us about that before, but I didn't really grasp what that meant and how old that piece is, how old it truly is. And to be standing there in front of it, literally be able to reach out and touch it, is a pretty amazing thing.
Go ahead, Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Going to ask you another question, but since you mentioned your family tree, A, did you find out anything amazing about your family tree? And second, do you consider yourself a patient man, that it would be really easy with all the pressure on the 200th win and on you finally winning, that you'd go all hell and do something, that you normally wouldn't do just to get her done?
Well, I didn't hear the last part of your question because I was thinking about the first one, but we don't have time in a day to talk about how much fun I've had with working on my family tree, but I was fortunate enough to find someone in the field of genealogy to help me out, and I'm trying to put together some kind of a well-organized document to sort of be able to show to family members and what have you, and just to keep some of my, Kelly's kids, and if I have any one day, they won't have to do the work. But I had one interesting experience. Ralph's father, I didn't know who he was, never really cared who he was, never thought about who he was or what his family would be like. Never thought past Ralph, all of these years. And I started getting into his father and Ralph's grandfather, and I found their burial plots. And so me and my grandmother Martha and my sister and my mom Brenda and my girlfriend rode up there one day. It's in Kannapolis or Concord, and visited their burial plots and a lot of relatives that were born in like 1809, 1822, stuff like that. So it's really cool to stand there over somebody that is responsible for you being there, and that was pretty neat. I'd done that before, and I had people tell me to work on my family tree before, but I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But once I got into it, I started to realize the importance of it. So it's been a lot of fun.
Okay, we'll take our next question from David, right here.
David Newton, ESPN.com. Greg Biffle was in here earlier, and they were saying, obviously Carl Edwards, they made them the #1 team by his contract and everything last year. Did you consider them to be the #1 team at Rouse Fenway, even though you're leading the points? And is it similar over at Hendrick right now? I mean, you're tied for second, I guess, in points. Do people still look at Jimmy as the #1 team? And what's that like? Is there a pecking order in an organization that you guys always look at?
Well, I think you do have a feel for. There is a bit of a pecking order, and it really comes down to what you've done lately. I think that Jimmy and Jeff will always carry a certain role in that company that I probably will never achieve, just due to them being there that long and having that that trust built up with Rick and all the employees there, and their accomplishments, obviously. But I've never felt that was a disadvantage to me. I felt like that I have everything that they have, and I have the same resources and the same ability to make everything I can out of the team that they have. I have the same opportunity. I've never really felt like that. That Jimmy's car was better than mine, or his team was better than mine, or somebody was getting something I wasn't getting. I've never really had that feeling. And because everything there is just so good, even, look at what the connection that we have with Haas. They have a lot of the same information, a lot of the same pieces and parts, and they tend to outrun us from time to time. So I could never complain being under the same roof. But there's definitely a pecking order when it comes down to just what you've done and what you've done for the company. I think there's a little bit of a maybe it's just a respect chain of command and respect, or whatever you want to call it. I don't really know, but everybody appreciates Jimmy for what he's done, and Jeff's been there a long time and helped really build that place into what it is today. And you got to give those guys credit.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't. He's a hell of a race car driver, but I feel like I'm the best, and I think that's the way you got to feel. I feel like that I'm smarter than everybody, and I can drive better than everybody, and I know a lot of people ain't going to agree with that, but I feel pretty strong about it.
Okay, we'll take our last 2 questions from Matt and Karen.
Junior, Sean McDowell, Metro Sports, Kansas City. We asked Jimmy earlier about information that you'll gather and have gathered in the past at this speedway. A lot of it won't be any good after the repave when you come back this fall. What, if anything, can you learn, retain, keep in mind when you come back?
Yeah, I don't know. I have heard that they're reconfiguring the racetrack. Is that true? Or they're just paving it? Variable banking? All right. Well, I mean, we'll just have to. Yeah, I think you can come back with something really close, because the setups that we run at Vegas and California, here, Texas, they are all, they're not exactly the same, but they're all going by the same ideas and theories, and they're really pretty, they're in the ballpark with each other. You don't really go from one end of the spectrum to the other when you go to all these tracks that are similar like this. So we'll come here with something that'll be close, and I don't have any worries about being able to really dial that in.
Okay, go ahead with your question, Karen.
Dale, Karen Kornacki, KNBC TV here in Kansas City. Been talking to each of the drivers about any strategy you've come into this season with to kind of put yourself in position for the chase. Jimmy Johnson talks about what he does to kind of prepare, hoping he's in the right place to go for a championship. Greg Biffle's talked about before the Daytona 500. He had a strategy where you need to finish, what information you need to scout from certain tracks. Did you come in with a certain strategy to help you be most successful to be in the chase in the fall?
Yeah, I think that one of my weaknesses in the past has been to not realize my, what I need to do that exact day. I would be in races, and something would happen. I'd be faced with some adversity, and instead of staying calm and trying to maximize what I can do that very day and get every point I can get that very day, there were times when I would make mistakes and cost myself even more trouble and lose even more points. So what I did last year and what I'm trying to do this year is, when we have a run where the car is just really not working, or if we have a mistake on pit road, or anything, for that matter, anything that sets us back, is to try to remain calm and think about what I can do to get the most points that day, instead of thinking too far out or thinking too nearsighted about the situation and ruin the day, making things even worse for ourselves. I knew when they changed I started thinking that way when they changed the point system, because I thought this new point system was really going to reward consistency more and really punish poor finishes more so than the old system. So, and I'm not sure whether that's true or not, but I still feel like it does. If you have a bad race, you just really lose so many points, and those are really hard to get back. And so we're just trying not to have bad races, not to take, like last week wasn't the greatest week. And I think 5 years ago or 4 years ago, I would have taken that car and probably gotten mad and made a mistake or done something wrong and finished 20th or worse. And we ended up staying calm, maximizing the night and finishing 10th. So I got a great group of guys around me, and that really helps my confidence. But, I think just minimizing your mistakes, things like speeding on pit road, getting mad and making mistakes like that, and then taking that out on the racetrack and doing further damage to the day, I think is something I've been working on.
All right, Dale, thank you very much.
Thank
for
you.
your